In fact, I would say that every time I've thought I needed to speed up in my life, I've actually needed to slow down. I'll tell you about it in a short way, in a medium way, and then in a long way. The short way is I spent years of my life grinding away with steady, consistent, hardworking effort, moving in a direction that I wasn't being intentional about, and so wasted so much of my time. I retreated back to my hometown, learned how to rest, learned what peace felt like, and now I'm coming to a point where I realize it wasn't about going fast or slow, it was about maintaining your presence while doing so. It's not about going fast or slow, it's about your presence. It's not about pace, it's about presence. Here's the medium explanation. I spent 4 years of my life in Los Angeles, California, inhabiting this very strong grind set, this kind of like alpha male, sigma male mentality, whereby I was working, way more than 40 hours a week, struggling to make ends meet, fighting for my survival, fighting for my money, fighting for my food, all with the intention of promoting my creativity. However, after spending so much time there and developing all this emotional baggage and resentment, I discovered I hated it there, and I wasn't heading in any direction that was ultimately productive because I was so consumed just by the thought of moving forward and grinding itself without understanding and taking a second to realize to where was I going. So I spent 8 months in my hometown of Washington, D.C. I just rested and I relinquished all these thoughts about me having to make the most out of every minute and make the most out of every day and get ahead of everybody else, and decided I was gonna just experiment, this wild experiment of just being regular and being normal. Fast forward to now, I live in Taipei, Taiwan. I've made that stillness a part of me, so now I can slowly increase my pace, realizing it wasn't about me having to slow down or me not wanting to go fast, but it was that when I went fast, I have to still maintain that sense of stillness and calm so I can quickly execute a task with ferocity and intensity that I know I'm capable of, and then pause and sit in stillness for a moment and ask myself, okay, what needs to be done next? And then execute again with that same level of intensity and focus. Whereas before, it had been just executing a task and I'm running over to this next task and running over to this next task. And before you know it, it's been 4 years and my body's in terrible shape. My emotional well-being is in terrible shape. I'm being forced to deal with these things that, had I really been present with myself throughout, I could have been dealing with, and thus navigating in a better direction to ultimately reach the goals I had at the time. If you've made it this far, I really appreciate you. Thank you so much. My name is Teddy Rycroft. I'm just sharing what I know with the hope that it's of service to you. Now I'll go into the more long, in-depth part of it, with the hope that the more details will serve you. I think it was the combination of being an artist in an engineering school with not a lot of musicians, just the time of my life where I was growing up, and perhaps me still trying to understand what it meant to be a man and what masculine energy was and how to incorporate that in a really healthy and beautiful way in my life. That led me to believe when I graduated college that I had to go really, really hard with a strong fervor and vengeance. I remember getting to LA and sleeping on my cousin's couch and me saying, don't worry, I'll be out of here in a month. I'll have a job, I'll have a car, I'll have an apartment in like 3 weeks. And she was like, sit your little ass down. You're gonna be here for 8 months. Just chill out and have a drink. From that point on, I was really, really grinding, and I hadn't really made a lot of plans about applying to jobs when I was leaving school. And as a result, I was just a dishwasher, and I was putting in those hours washing dishes, and finally I earned and saved up enough money to buy a car, and now I can start doing Uber and Lyft, and I'm driving all over the place, and the work just kept stacking up. I just got used to this dopamine high that I would get from putting in the hours and seeing the bread stack up. It was especially nefarious when I was driving Uber because you're your own boss, but you're your own boss. And I remember I would work as a dishwasher from some nights from 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. and then hop in the Uber and work like 8 in the morning and then drive home. Just pull these wild all-nighters. And I knew it wasn't sustainable, but every more dollar I got, I felt that I was moving closer towards the goal of making it in LA. I didn't really take the time to contemplate and think about what exactly that meant and what specifically my vision was. A lot of times those contemplative sessions look like you just sitting around not doing nothing, or you just going on a long ass walk or talking to your friends on the phone. And I didn't see it as something that was productive. And as a consequence, all these conversations I could have been having with myself about where I'm going and the most intelligent direction to head in and whether I even need to be here to accomplish that, those went by the wayside in favor of how much effort can I put towards stacking up these dollars, which will then somehow guarantee me freedom in the form of the next thing I can move and do, like an apartment and a car and then this recording equipment, yada, yada, yada. I was just go, go, go for 4 years, and the reflection that I've been undergoing had to be forced upon me by a sudden realization I had when I was visiting DC during Thanksgiving break of 2022. And I just realized I fucking hate it there. I hate my life. I hate what I'm becoming. I hate how I have imprisoned myself with this grind set. And I talk more about the grind and how I've been able to understand it from a healthier perspective in a video, which I'll put like right over here or something. But suffice it to say, I knew I had to get out. I knew this wasn't the right way. And what was so difficult for me was I was so married to this idea of working hard is the only way. I associated it with my self-worth. And I also associated living in Los Angeles with my self-worth. And I would always look down upon people who said they had to leave because it was too challenging or too difficult. For me, it wasn't that it was too challenging or too difficult. I was too challenging and I was too difficult. And I had to figure myself out before I could really achieve any success. I went back to DC, and the most radical thing I could do was just chill out and smoke some weed and kick it and spend afternoons just enjoying the outside or working out or hanging with a friend, having a long conversation, hanging with a buddy, which was something I never would have done before, which is wild to think about it. Knowing now how fulfilling it is and how these kind of important conversations or just small exchanges with people that you love and care about can have such a motivational, transformative impact on the path you're going down and whatnot. After 2 or 3 months, I got my head around this thing about slowing down and being still, and I found real peace and real contentment, and it was so amazing. And I would feel the urge to start moving in a direction creatively, maybe write a few songs here or there, maybe paint a little bit, and then the next week I would lose that motivation. But in the past, that would have been something I blame myself for, like, oh, you're so dumb, you're so weak for committing to this for a week and now stopping. But I developed faith that there was a reason behind it all. There's a necessity for grace and forgiveness, especially when you're in a part of your life where you're exploring and learning. I took that mentality with me when I came to Taipei, Taiwan, which is where I live now. And since then, I've been continuing to move in this slow fashion. And anytime I feel myself starting to speed up, I have to remember to slow down. In fact, I would say that every time I've thought I needed to speed up in my life, I've actually needed to slow down. Because every time I've thought I needed to speed up was because I was already so anxious and getting way ahead of myself. And I always thought the solution was just move faster, and I would burn out. When really the solution is, wait a minute, take a second and breathe and really analyze the situation. We're cool. Now we can make some strategic decisions. Boom, 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 boom. We're back where we need to be, just like that. After about 6 months here of being slow, something within me just welled up, and I made this realization again that it wasn't that I was going too fast and that I need to go slow. The issue is that presence and my lack of presence would correlate with how fast I was moving through life and how fast I was executing tasks. When I would, for instance, let's look at my phone. Your phone is such a valuable tool for executing tasks, sending emails and doing research and making moves and buying things and applying for grants and you name it. It can be an excellent tool. And I remember times where I'm moving fast and I'm in my head and I'm just zoom, 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 executing. But then I wouldn't take the second to stop and ensure I was still being intentional. So before you know it, I'm just on my phone all day long. And if I'm not executing a task, I'm just switching over to Instagram and scrolling. And the pace was the same. So part of me thought, oh, I'm still being productive and useful and not letting this thing rot away at my brain, which is ultimately not the case. So from that point on, I've been experimenting with speeding up and moving a little more quickly in my life and seeking to fit more things into my day, but ensuring that as I do it, I'm very intentional and I can pause even in the middle of an activity and ask myself, am I present? Am I focused? Am I being very strategic and intentional in how I'm executing this? Or is my mind all over the place and I need to recenter? And that capacity to do so and to have that foundation and understanding of what it means to be still and at peace has allowed me to be productive and moving at a faster pace, but still very pleasant and happy and satisfied, and still managing to get all my needs met, which is super, super awesome. It's been an awesome experiment just over the past few weeks, and these videos that I've been posting are the outcome of that, among other things. If you made it this far, once again, I appreciate you very much. This is an awesome journey for me, and I hope that everything I've said has been useful or of service to you in some way. So thank you so much. I'll catch you later. Thank you.